44 Dive, we rollin', amped up with BC Thursday, January 30th, 2025. Just 2 days away from the Royal Rumble. You gotta tap into the inner VKM for that one, man. That and WrestleMania, right? WrestleMania! You're fired! You're doofus son-in-law! Oh man, we rocking. Good to be back in the amped up studios. Good to be back rocking with my amplified unit. A lot of traveling earlier this week. A lot of business conducted, but it was good to be back last night with a live stream. We were live to my unit that is subscribed and notified. You guys were able to catch that live. We had a lot of fun. It was supposed to be about a half an hour. We went over an hour and a half. So that tells you a lot. We had a lot of fun. Fresh coffee was flowing. My unit was rocking out in the chat. A lot of fun. And that was up for the replay as well. So to my replay unit, salute to you guys as well, man. Big success. It was good to be back with my unit. But this is our first pre-record in a minute. And it's going to be a big show today, as you guys can see. Not a Paul White. Well, not a Paul White, but it is going to be a big show. I got multiple screens popping off for you guys, man. I got my AEW Dynamite notes, literally pen to paper over here. I got my main screen with the betting odds for the Royal Rumble because they're constantly changing. We'll talk about it. In fact, in this upload, we talked about it a little bit on the live stream. The betting odds for the dudes and the gals for the Rumble. Guys, they've changed from last night. You're not going to believe it. For the women more than anything, 3 and 4 has switched. We'll talk about those names flip-flopping. This is what Vegas has as their betting odds. The most insider information. 3 and 4 has changed, and there's a new number 5. One lady has catapulted in the top 5. And it was right after, an hour after she posted up a message that had everybody talking. Is it her being on the outs with the WWE and there's a real problem with her in the company? Or is this to throw all the fans off the trail, make us think that she's not even going to be in the Rumble? That seems to be what Vegas is saying because they have plopped her in the number 5 spot. We'll talk all about who flip-flopped and who just got the number 5 spot, what they said in their post. But the betting odds for the Rumble, man, they have switched big for the ladies. So I have the main screen on that. I also have another screen popping off for any news while we are recording this as it pertains to the Rumble and the Hall of Fame. Because while we were live last night, you guys told me that the first inductee was announced, and it looks to be the headliner. So this was massive news broke by my unit while we were live last night. And if you don't know what we're talking about, you haven't heard, and you're going, who is it? Who is it? Could it be Sid? Bam Bam? Could it be China? Solo? Could it be Bray Wyatt? Batista? No. I'll give you a little hint. Or a big hint. Are you ready? Oh, man. Yeah, you probably know that hint, don't you? So, of course, the wrestling world, man, it was fired up last night. A lot of people having fun with it, right? I saw one thing had me cracking up. It just goes, dude really put himself in the Hall of Fame with a bunch of laughing emojis. And I just thought it was funny, right? Simplistic. But on the other hand, you know, you have people going, well, hold on. I mean, it wasn't his decision. And I truly do believe that, guys. The way that this was done, it was I actually was able to see the announcement, and it was like a little intervention that I do believe Paul Levesque, Hunter Hearst Helmsley did not know about. And I know the easy thing is to say, well, he could have said no. But if you saw how it was done on stage in front of a lot of people, in front of HBK, Undertaker, you can't really say no in that environment. But the timing obviously is horrible. I don't know, man. We're going to talk about it. You guys know we're going to talk because this is huge news, man. It's the Hall of Fame. We always cover it big time on this channel. It's where a plethora of individuals get the highest of admiration from their peers and fans alike. So we'll talk all about it, right? I know the discussion is he deserving of it and this and that. We'll talk all about it, guys, coming up. Because, again, I found out you guys broke it to me live last night. So I'm still kind of trying to comprehend it all. If you don't know what we're talking about at all, I'll tell you how it went down, Hunter's reaction. Oops, did I just... Well, with all those teases, you knew who it was anyway. We'll talk about it. I might have a lot to say about it. We'll see. Also, again, as I said, betting odds for the Rumble have changed. We'll talk about that. And I have the Dynamite review for last night, 129.25. Is Dynamite making the right steps in the right direction? Or was this another show where people are going, come on, man, you got to dig out of that hole? I was able to catch most, if not all, in totality of this show. I did my due diligence, pen to paper. And you guys are going to get my amplified thoughts on Dynamite as well. So that's what I mean. We got a packed, stacked, jack show for you today. 44 dive. We ain't looking left, right, behind. We straight ahead. 44 dive. We rolling. And we're doing it amplified style. I am going to take you guys to an opening signature just so I can get a swig of coffee. Come right on back. We got a packed, amped up for Thursday, 1/30/25. 2 days from Rumble. Damn. Let's do this. So we will start with the betting odds for the Royal Rumble. Again, they have switched up from last night's live stream that we did. The men pretty much staying the same. Jonathan Cena is the all-on favorite to win the Rumble this Saturday night. Jonathan Cena, you have to believe he would choose Gunther, and that would leave CM Punk to win the Elimination Chamber to choose Cody Rhodes. After what we saw Monday anyway, that's the only way that this could go, right? I don't see how you can insert Randy Orton at this point. Hunter might go the easy route, just do Randy and KO all through SummerSlam. But either way, you got to believe Randy is showing up Rumble. I mean, we'll have a much clearer picture after the Rumble, man, of what Randy Orton is doing. My original idea, or where I would have loved to have gone with it, because the story is right there sitting in their lap, is Randy versus Cody for the championship. All of this talk about Cena breaking Flair's record 16 times broken, but Randy Orton is right behind. I believe Orton's only a couple of titles behind, so wouldn't it be wild if Randy comes back, the Viper, the real Viper is back, the legend killer, that heel, that bad guy, the one that was just so awesome. And that's the heel taking on Cody. And if he beats Cody for that title, quietly, Randy is keeping pace with Cena right behind him in the title count. I just think that would be a cool underlining story. But the massive story up front is teacher versus student, legacy. And Randy Orton was the leader. And he brought in these two young, fresh-faced rookie kids in Ted DiBiase Jr. and Cody Rhodes. And here it is all these years later, and it's Cody at the top with the title. Randy facing all this adversity, and now Randy chasing Cody. And that's that legend killer type character as well, that true Viper. That's the story sitting in their lap. But after Monday, what happened with Punk and Cody, you kind of got to believe that that's one of the main events. I mean, how do you now do something else with Punk and Cody? I mean, that. And it's almost like they didn't know if that was going to be it, right? They didn't know what Rock wanted to do. Does Rock want to have a match with Cody? Doesn't look like it, man. Maybe we'll find out in 2 days at the Rumble if The Rock graces anybody with his presence. But the way it looked on the Netflix premiere of Monday Night Raw, Rock was just shaking hands and hugging it out and cheersing Cody like they've been best friends for decades. So I don't even know how you would reignite that. It looks like The Rock has already thrown that into the garbage. I don't know how you can resurrect that. And after Monday night, it looks like I mean, how do you have a promo like that and that is not one of your big matches at Mania? Punk versus Cody. So my point is, if Cena wins, you got to believe he chooses Gunther. That's how he gets his record-breaking championship at Mania, which I'm totally on board with. And then Punk could still win the Chamber, which it would look like. Punk is in like the third spot to win the Rumble too, though. So they could flip it. Punk wins it, and then Cena wins Chamber. So, because Punk is number 3, for some reason, Seth Rollins is in the number 2 spot for Vegas's betting odds. So they have some insider information where WWE internally is actually discussing Seth winning the Rumble. That's anticlimactic, man. You take away the sing-along and all that. Seth Rollins has a lot of work to do to captivate the majority of the audience because it's just not working. I just don't believe Seth even knows what his character even is these days. And he's supposed to win the Rumble and do what? Win a title? Is that the most fun fans are going to have? Is that the best direction for the company? Is that going to create the biggest buzz and the biggest response? Because I'm checking off no. Every box has a no checked off. I don't know how Seth is number 2. Rounding out the top 5, I believe The Rock is still number 4. No, please. The Rock cannot just come back and win a Rumble. And I think Roman is somewhere around that top 5 as well. Roman Reigns does not need to win a Rumble at all. There's just no reason. Yeah, there's no reason for Roman Reigns to... Fatu, Roman. Done. Doesn't even have to be a main event. Just have a big attraction match at Mania. Fatu, Roman. Let the main event for 1 year. We can have a main event without Roman. Relax. So the men look pretty shaped up there. It looks like Cena and Punk, no matter which way they do it, is going to be Rumble Elimination Chamber winners. The women is where it really switched up. Now, last night, it's the same today as it was last night. Charlie Flair is the projected winner of the 2025 Rumble. Charlie Flair. Let me get a swig of coffee. Tell you where we go from there. Now, that's a story in itself. I know a lot of you guys are like me. No, please, not 2025. She just comes back right into another massive W. She either comes back and wins a title automatically, or she wins things like Royal Rumbles, main eventing manias. Why is it always Charlie Flair? I know, I'm in that boat. But there's a lot of people that are like, yes, can't wait to see her. Can't wait to see her win the Rumble. Can't wait to see her in Mania main event. Hey, you're going to get all your wishes come true because Vegas has Charlie Flair winning the Rumble. Now, after that, it kind of gets dicey starting with number 2. So you have Bianca Belair in at number 2. She's already won one. She's a little bit cold with the tag titles, that whole division. The title reign, it's just there's not a lot of buzz around it. They're just not being booked properly. We know that. I mean, just look no further to, I think it was Monday night. They were flat on their backs looking up at the lights. I think it was Naomi. Tag title holders beaten. I think that was maybe Liv and Raquel. So obviously they're not booked correctly. And out of nowhere, they just have Belair winning the Rumble at number 2 if they decide not to go to Charlie. I don't know. I just don't see it. Io is number 3. I love Io. I love when she's collecting W's. I love when she gets big moments, like if they want her to win the Rumble. But that's what I mean. Book them correctly going into it so there's this gigantic pop and buzz surrounding it. Io is not in that position right now. That's the problem. She hasn't been booked like that. Many shows, she's just backstage, coming across a talent, giving them those eyes and just saying, I will beat you, and walks out. And I love Io, one of my favorites in this industry. But we need more from Io than that if she's going to win a Rumble, right? And I love those sultry eyes, right, man? Those eyes tell a million stories, man. Whether she's smiling or whether she wants to throw you off a roof. Those eyes tell a million stories. I just love seeing Io. And I love watching her wrestle, but put her in a position to where the majority of the audience, the majority of the wrestling world wants to see her win a big match like the Rumble. I just don't see that type of booking for her, unfortunately. In Vegas, put her at 3, so she's obviously being discussed within the walls of World Wrestling Entertainment. On one hand, that's a good thing. They're putting Io in a top tier. On the other hand, they're not booking her as such. Number 4. Now, that's where it flip-flopped, by the way. Io and number 4. Io was number 4 as of last night, bumped to 3. Big-time Becky Lynch goes to number 4. That's a big flop. or a flip-flop, I should say. Not a flop. It's still good being in the 4th spot. But Becky, who a lot of people believe is returning at the Rumble, she has just moved down yet again. Her first initial word that we got when we were hearing she was going to be in, she was at number 2 in Vegas's betting odds. Then she went to 3, and then just got pushed down to 4. So Becky continues to fall. So evidently it looks like Becky is nowhere, or she's at least getting further and further from the conversation of winning this. To Nick Khan, Hunter Helmsley, and anybody who's at that round table discussing all these big decisions. Becky Lynch, it does not look too good for her. She's falling backwards. The number 5 position, this is wild. Alexa Bliss has entered the 5th spot. So it is now being talked about that Alexa Bliss could win this thing. Vegas is hearing things. It's interesting. It was an hour after Alexa Bliss posted a message saying that she says something like, if you need me, I'll be right here, at least for now. And it's a photo of her and her kid, her baby. And she's just kind of, holding the baby. And it looks like, they're just chilling at home, relaxing. And Alexa's like, this is where I'll be for the imminent future anyway. But the Rumble's in two nights. Everybody was expecting you to be back imminently as it is, especially by the Rumble. And you're pretty much telling everybody, nope, this is where I am. And don't forget, last week there was reports that Alexa and WWE had hit a snag. There's a contractual argument that they're having, and they can't come to an agreement. And we already know that Alexa has been telling everybody for months she's been ready to come back. Hunter has had no creative for her. Hunter has been telling Alexa to stay home. Alexa put up 3 or 4 posts in the last several months saying, not my decision. I don't know what's going on. So is it just another case of Hunter going, listen, we were going to bring you back for the Rumble, but it doesn't look like that's happening. Or we were going to bring you into the Wyatt story, but I don't know what I'm doing with the Wyatts. Because he doesn't, right? Hunter doesn't know. Out of nowhere, he just puts him on SmackDown. And the announcement was so weird. Karrion comes out of Adam Pearce's office. He's like, Miz, we can't get to the Wyatts because they got moved. Well, you just beat the Wyatts. So it makes the Wyatts look like idiots. Not only did they get beat, right, you had Howdy looking up at the lights after baby powder. The whole group got beat in an 8-man tag. And so you think the Wyatts would be pissed. Baby powder and you beat us. Instead, they just get quietly moved to SmackDown and it's Karrion looking for them still. It's Karrion who's pissed because he can't get to the Wyatts still. And then once they got moved to SmackDown, we haven't even seen the Wyatts. So if you're saying, well, Hunter's trying to think of something for them, BC. Well, they just debuted a few months ago. What do you mean? You should have had a whole year plan. They debuted weirdly, oddly, bizarrely with Chad Gable's clique when Chad already had something with Otis. So they dropped that flat on its face just to rush this weird thing with the Wyatts and the Creeds. American made. The whole thing, guys. So Alexa's kind of in flux. So maybe it's not contractual financially. Maybe it's contractually she just doesn't like the creative. And she's like, dude, we got to talk. And Hunter's like, I don't have the time. I'm doing the next commercial. I'm doing some voiceovers. Alexa Bliss, though, posted that. Man, for now, at least, this is where I'm going to be. Not the Rumble, basically, is what she is telling. That's what she's telling you. And an hour later, Vegas put her in the number 5 spot. So is this what Vegas believes, or maybe even what they're hearing behind the scenes? This is just to throw everybody off the track. Alexa will be back for the Rumble. Does she have a true chance of winning this thing? Would that be appropriate? We're talking about Charlie coming back after missing nearly a year and just winning the Rumble over everybody that's been busting their ass. Would that be fair if Alexa did that? Eye of the beholder. Interested to hear what you guys think about it. And just to round off, by the way, that's your top 5 for Vegas betting odds for the ladies: Charlie, Belair, Io, Becky, Alexa. Rounding out the 8 and the number 6 spot for Vegas winning the Rumble is Liv Morgan. But Morgan was just champion. I don't know how much buzz and excitement that's going to get from the audience. We just saw that. You're going to have to build her back up now. Is winning a Rumble and getting right back into the title picture that way? I don't know. I don't think so. Jordynne Grace, number 7. There's a wild card. Could you imagine Jordan showing up and just winning the Rumble? Talk about a calling card to those that don't know. Jordynne Grace. Talk about the stamp of WWE's approval on you. Jordan Grace in at number 7. And number 8 is Jade Cargill. She's down in NXT Performance Center right now, training to get better. Clearly, WWE knows she has a lot more improvement that needs to be done. Having her, throwing her in there and winning a Rumble, that's not the right way to do business. But could this be all this extra training they have Jade doing right now? Could it be because they want her to win a Rumble and just have an incredible 2025 dominating? Would you guys be okay with that? It's interesting. So that is all the changes and from just last night in the women's division as far as who is winning the Rumble. So I'm keeping a keen eye on Vegas's betting odds because, again, that's usually a lot of people that are hearing a lot of things internally. Doesn't always come to fruition, obviously, but they're hearing the latest of all the talks internally within those walls of WWE, so it's important to keep up on it. But Charlie Flair, John Cena, those look to be your winners this Saturday night. We'll see. Let's move on. We'll go to... do we want to talk the Hall of Fame, or do you guys want to go AEW? Let me get a swig of coffee. We'll go AEW Dynamite for $129.25. I was able to catch it, do my due diligence in my notes. Now we're going to get amplified on Dynamite. So we started the show with Ospreay pinning Brian Cage. Decent match. I mean, I like Brian Cage. I don't need all the flips in the doohickey dives and all that. I just need a dude that looks like a pro wrestler doing pro wrestling things. So I don't mind Brian Cage. Ospreay is just phenomenal. He's just... Dude is incredible. I really believe that he can rock a mic too when given the chance and carry storyline. So I've always liked Ospreay. Same thing I say about Kenny Omega. They have their detractors, but they have their supporters. I'm definitely in the box of supporters for Ospreay and Kenny. So I didn't mind this match at all. I need more of a substantial, fun, intriguing, captivating start to a wrestling show to really make me go, yep, the next 2 hours, or if it's WWE, 3 hours. This is where I'm putting the remote down. Like, this is going to be fun. So I don't like when we just start with a matchup. But Ospreay ends up pinning Brian Cage here via pinfall. Don Callis' group obviously comes out. They destroy Omega, who was out there. They destroy Omega and Ospreay. The numbers game was just heavily in favor of Callis. It wasn't even close. So you just no, and I love two things here though in this beatdown. One, they let it breathe. They spent like 4 or 5 minutes on it, guys. Like if this was like WWE, for instance, they would have cut it out in like 60 seconds after the beatdown. You would have just cut to like Michael Cole going, that sucks for Omega and Ospreay. Now moving on to Charlie Flair. She's coming back. That they would just move on, or we just cut to a commercial. But what I like about this is they just let it sit there for 4 to 5 minutes, man. And they just kept beating down. Callis would throw in some boots. And every time Omega would like move to try to even reach for Callis would like back up like an ultimate coward. Oh no. But then when they knew they were contained, Callis would come over, stomp them a little bit more. They just let this go. And I was thinking, oh boy, at any moment there's going to be a face coming down. No, that's the best part of this. Not just they let it breathe, but the fact that no faces came down to make the save. They let the heels do heel shit. They let the heels heal. We don't see that anymore. We just got to make sure that everybody's happy. So bring out the faces, bring them out and chase off the dastardly heels. Well, they can't be dastardly anymore because they're not doing any heel shit. I love this. Not only did they let it breathe, nobody came out to help Omega and Ospreay. I don't know what that says about Omega and Ospreay. And how well liked they are backstage storyline wise. But I love how nobody came out. The heels did their thing. They let it breathe. So that I can say was good. Would I have started this hotter? Absolutely. You guys remember how they started? Was it the start of last week? When Omega and Ospreay were climbing up that structure and they had that huge brawl with the Callis family. I think that was the start of the show. But, I mean, you can't go from that to, like, this, because that's a downgrade. So I don't mind it, but it was not better than last week. And that's the problem. You want to progress, right? You want to go up as time goes on and closer to the PLE's pay-per-views. I don't think we accomplished that. Now, the first matchup of the night, this was one that we were all watching in trepidation, right? For one big reason. And that's Jeff Jarrett versus Claudio, first of all, for those that didn't see the show. Jeff Jarrett versus Claudio. If Jarrett wins, he gets a world title shot with Mox. Again, most of us watching in trepidation because in no way should a near 58-year-old Jeffrey Jarrett even be going for the title on a show like Dynamite that desperately is trying to get viewers back. Not just casuals or new viewers, just ones back that they may have lost. And they're just parading out this old-timer, man. He is, near 58. Jeff Jarrett is taking up this storyline with one of their brightest stars, MJF. Jeff Jarrett is in this world title picture. It's got a lot of people, including BC, absolutely dumbfounded that this decision is even being made in that company. So we were watching like they're not really going to do it, right? But then you never know. It's live, and this is, you never say never in the pro wrestling world. Tony Khan's made some wild decisions in the past, so it's almost like you never know until that bell rings and the match is over. Could Jeffrey Jarrett pull this out? Would they actually take that drastic measure and put Jeff Jarrett into a title match? Not saying he was going to win the title, but even the fact that we're playing this charade and he's beating somebody like Claudio. This version of Claudio, man, that's disrespect. You can't do Claudio dirty like that, right? And it's not realistic that this version of Jeff Jarrett at 58 would beat this version of Claudio. But when it was all said and done, they found a way where everybody wins while doing the right thing. And if you saw the show, you know what I'm talking about. If not, what happened was it's one of those scenarios where it takes a village. And it took the Death Riders. Mox was out there. Wheeler, Utah was out there. Even Shafir was out there. I don't think she actually got involved, but she was out there causing that distraction as well. But they were all out there, man. The Death Riders in full effect. And that allowed Claudio to get the pinfall victory over Jeff Jarrett. I think Mox actually gave him that dirty deeds, right? I think he actually gave him the DDT. And then moments later, Claudio ended up winning. I think that's the scenario that played out. So Claudio pins Jarrett. All is right. That's the bottom line here. That all of this, okay, I hope Tony Khan and whoever was behind all of this, Jeff Jarrett going for a title storyline, I hope they got what they wanted out of it. And hopefully we can move on. We just have to put the final cherry on top of the MJF Jarrett story, wherever that's headed. Because post-match, MJF came out, and MJF just dropped Jarrett where he stood, like just a bag of bricks. Like, he's like, Jeff, all I gotta say is boom. Just clock the dude. Jeff Jarrett's down and out. And then MJF grabs a mic, and he says, because I respect my elders, I'm not gonna say I told you so. Which is just a fun little passive-aggressive way to say, I told you so. So that was the post-match activity. So clearly, MJF and Jeff Jarrett still have to finish their little side story. But this whole Jarrett going for the world title, it looks like it might continue on too, because it did take a village. And Jarrett now can say, that wasn't, come on, that's beyond cheating. So yeah, I'm not done with my quest to get the championship. I just don't know if that's what's going to pull in ratings. I don't know if this AEW audience, if that's what they want to see on their screens. Some, absolutely, possibly. Makes no, absolutely or possibly. Maybe they do. Or absolutely they do. But I'm telling you, a shit ton of fans, and I would dare to say most AEW fans, this is not where they thought or where they would have the AEW direction, with Jeffrey Jarrett taking up this whole quest for a championship storyline. Some aspects of it I don't even mind. The problem is it's just not the best television that AEW should be telling right now. And that just seems to be so much time and effort being put into it. So that's what I'll say about that. A lot to say about it, but that was one of those matches that had the most on the line, I felt. And then hour number one ends with Ricochet defeating AR Fox via pinfall. Post-match, Swerve tries to take out Rico, but like all great substitute teachers, he had a pair of scissors on him and he utilized them in self-defense. Every great substitute teacher has scissors, arts and crafts, right? Some glue, some pencils. So Ricochet whipped out those golden scissors Get away from me, you! Like Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean. What do you think? Caribbean or Caribbean? Pirates of the Caribbean. Nah, Pirates of the Caribbean. I think it's Caribbean. But anyway, there's no sword, just scissors. We like to call, if you're new to the show, we call Rico the world's greatest substitute teacher. When he puts on his little tight suit and he's got his glasses and he's carrying his scissors in his pencil pocket, his pocket protector. I love it. You can't get nerdier than that, bro. So again, Ricochet over AR Fox. Swerve tries to take him out, but the scissors, the golden scissors, are utilized in self-defense. Then we go to hour number 2. Jay White, Wheeler, Utah. Here's my opening. There we go. Oh, look at that. The barista put, have a great day. Thank you. Have a great day. With a heart, too. Hey. Thanks, babe. Have a great day with a heart. A little extra vanilla in that latte. Where was I? Hour 2, Jay White defeats Wheeler, Utah via Sister Abigail Blade Runner pinfall. Post-match, Death Riders on the attack, but Cope, Dax, and Cash for the save. I just love saying those three. Like the Three Stooges, right? Larry, Curly, and Moe. Cope, Dax, and Cash. They come out for that. That's what I was saying earlier. You know, the heels can't properly heel if the faces are always chasing them off. So here comes Cope and Dash and Dash? Not Dash. Now they're like reindeer, man. Now I'm treating them like reindeer, man. On Dixie, on Rudolph, on Dash, on Cash, on Cope. Cope, Dax, and Cash. I got it. If they're chasing them off, I don't know. The Death Riders can't really gain that equity into being really diabolical and vicious and ruthless and somebody you can get behind. Yeah, they're badass. And on the flip side, this is not the best way to utilize Edge, Adam Copeland Cope. The guys, for the past couple weeks, just runs out in these weird little saves. Last week was even worse. Remember, he came out, was it last week or the week before? He comes out for like 5 seconds. He runs out, and then we go to a different segment. I mean, by the week, Cope is losing stock, prestige. That's a problem. At least for Cope. But then AEW in totality. Mariah May interview, top of the ramp. Initially, this was with Renee Paquette, but then for some reason, Renee just ran off. Maybe Mariah just whipped the mic from her. I don't know. But Renee was only there for a couple of sips of coffee, then she was gone. Mariah May, top of the ramp. The interview then turns into basically a promo. So Mariah May says, it's good to be in Huntsville, but maybe we can change the first letter to a C. So then BC had to tap into his Steiner math, right? Take away the H, add the C. Huntsville now becomes I said BC saw what she did there. And then she says in this promo, it's a quick promo just to Toni Storm, reminding Toni Storm that she is indeed the woman from hell, and to look now, there's a quote, look now and never forget, for she is your AEW Women's Champion. Look now and never forget. I am your women's champion, says Mariah May. So I don't know. There wasn't a lot of substance to that. The best line was calling Huntsville. Yeah, I mean, that was the best line. Other than that, the Toni Storm promo was beyond... it was beyond mid. It was beyond tame. That's the word I'll use. Beyond tame. Mariah could have hit a lot harder. And then we were already at the main event, guys. One of my favorites in this industry. Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné in the main event against Yuka Sakazaki. I just love saying Sakazaki. Yuka Sakazaki did the deed in this match. She held her own in this match. She left her calling card to those that don't know much about Sakazaki. She left that calling card. That's how good she did last night. Few mishaps, a little bit of botches, but they really flowed for the most part. I enjoyed it. Can I say I was captivated by it? Maybe not. But I enjoyed pro wrestling for a match. Just watching Mercedes do her thing is such a treat. She's just one of the best you'll ever see do it. She just takes so much pride into this thing, and she respects it so much in her craft. And I know she takes a lot of flack. I know a lot of you guys might not be a big supporter of Mercedes. I get it. Maybe it's for things she said or behind the scenes things or actions or what you've heard. That's fine. But she's just so damn good. In this match, she did beat Sakazaki. This was off her moneymaker finisher for the W. Big dub for Mercedes. And post-match, she's draped in all this gold. She's got like 4 titles draped around her, and that's how we go off the air. I would have ended the show much bigger than that. It's what I've always said. I love the fact that Mercedes is draped in gold. She's picking up W after W. I love that part of her booking because that's what she should have been getting in WWE. I truly feel that way. What I don't like is that there's not a big story attached to her, something that's captivating the wrestling world. I say that about the Hurt Business. They're making them look dominant. They're picking up W's, but they don't really have a storyline we can sink our teeth into or really grasp and get behind and be intrigued by, captivated by. And that's what Mercedes is looking. It's like Tony is booking them correctly in terms of W's and titles, even Hurt Syndicate. But there has to be a storyline or else all of it is for nothing. We see that with WWE all the time. W after W for some of these people, AJ Styles, for instance, but he's not a talking point because nobody cares. Doesn't matter about wins and losses if the booking is so damn bad. So Mercedes, that part of the booking is so damn good, but without a storyline, how many people are going to care going forward? A lot of fans aren't just going to be like BC, and it's like, oh, Mercedes is wrestling. I really want to watch this. There has to be more to it. So that's my biggest critique. Other than that, the match was good. I love the fact they were given the main event. Mercedes with a dub. But Sakazaki left the calling card, did the deed, and did just such a good job. I have no complaints with that. It's what happened or didn't happen after the match. How we just went off the air with that. Mercedes wins. Good night, everybody. But let's talk about that being draped in all that gold. I mean, is Mercedes just the GOAT? Just of all time? Do we just call it right now in 2025? Greatest of all time? I mean, who's above her all time? Are you going to put Fabulous Moolah? Are you putting Alundra Blaze? Charlie Flair because she was given 14 titles? In terms of actual wrestling, going in there and just having most everybody's best match. We've said this a billion times on the channel, but she's almost everybody's best match. Whether it's an Io, a Zelina, a Charlie Flair several times, Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch. Doesn't matter. You can go on and on and on. She's everybody's best match. It's wild. Shawn Michaels used to be like that. I mean, do we just now, in 2025, just say, that's it, mic drop? Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné is the GOAT. I mean, it's got to at least be a topic of conversation. It has to be a talking direction and narrative going forward because she's that good. So I know a lot of you guys are, nobody's not even close. But if we're being honest, it's more than close. It's a real discussion. So that's Dynamite 129.25. I would have liked to have seen a lot more. I feel like there was a flow the last couple weeks. No matter what, everyone, it's doom and gloom, right? There's a lot of talk out there about AEW that there's just no coming back. It's hopeless. It'll never be anything. It's done. It's already dead. It's the worst product I've ever seen in wrestling history. But the last couple of weeks, I mean, I've been totally fine with it. Even this week's Dynamite, man, there's no way I'm saying Raw was better than this week either. The first 2 hours plus of Raw this week sucked. Completely just beyond a chore to get through. It wasn't until the final segment with Cody and CM Punk where I finally was like, all right, this is good. But if you think I'm putting Raw over even this week's Dynamite, no. So, I mean, for people that are going doom and gloom for AEW and especially Dynamite, well, keep the same energy for Monday Night Raw, bro, and SmackDown ain't even much better. If even. Sometimes, nah, you can't be worse than Raw. SmackDown needs a lot of help. So that's why I mean, keep the same energy. But all the doom and gloom talk, no. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed. A lot of things are keeping this company, and especially Dynamite, from being a really good show. But it's not hopeless. Not at all. Especially the last couple weeks and this past week. It took a step back, maybe a couple steps back, but there's still a lot of hope for it, man. There's just clear areas where it needs to be overhauled. Things need to be switched up. What sucks is that we can see it. I don't know if they can because they're in the walls. Sometimes you're too close to it, right? I call it the New York effect. New York City, it's such a beautiful thing to see. What's funny, though, is when you're living in it, especially like Manhattan, you don't realize it. I mean, you know it, but you don't realize it because, first of all, it's very rare you're actually looking up, but you're in it. You're within all these giant buildings and everything. When you're in Brooklyn and when you're in Jersey and all that, and you can see it, that's different. That's like, whoa, it's New York. That's NYC. But when you're in it, you don't get to see what everyone else is seeing. It's kind of like this, within these companies, like we see the obvious that needs to be changed. Sometimes when you're in that company, you're like, nah, I think we're good, right? We'll just switch this up and nah, that's not it. Listen. So that's Dynamite. That's my full Amplify thoughts, man. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. They got some big events coming up. They have no choice but to step it up. Say the same thing about WWE. They have no choice. Rumble, Chamber, Mania season. They have no choice at this point. This has to be the best product ever, man. There's no mulligans. All right, let's talk Hall of Fame, man. You guys broke the news to BC just last night. Are you ready? So you guys told me that it was Hunter Hearst Helmsley going into the 2025 Hall of Fame and headlining, by the way. That's what was being that's what was out there. The headliner was announced, and it's Hunter Helmsley. So I asked you guys, I'm like, is this accurate? Some of you guys were like, no, he's just hosting BC. Then most of you guys were like, no, he's headlining. Then some vid came out from WWE. I guess there was like an employee gathering. I don't know, but they were up on stage. Nick Khan, Hunter, some executives, and Undertaker and Shawn Michaels came out. And Hunter looked genuinely like shocked. Like, what's going on? Michaels and Taker come out, and Nick Khan's out there, and they announce that Hunter is going into the Hall of Fame. And Stephanie came out afterwards and hugged him, and Hunter says, if you see somebody fly off the roof later, it's Nick Khan. In other words, like that's, they did that. I didn't want that per se. I do think he did not know about it, or I don't know, or at least it was supposed to be a surprise. I don't know if the cat was out of the bag, maybe at home with Stephanie, and oops, you better act surprised. It's like when you have a surprise birthday party, but it got leaked and you know it, but you don't want all the attendees to know that you know. So, your girlfriend's like, you better act surprised. I don't know if he truly, I mean, when he heard Michaels' song play, it was kind of like, I didn't, because he controls all of it. I don't know. I want to believe that he didn't know anything about it and that the video is pure and that his reaction is pure. You never know with Hunter. But I don't believe that he just walked in one day, even though we're having a lot of fun with this. I don't believe that he just walked in and was like, I think I'm going to go into the Hall of Fame. I'm going to be the headliner this year. I don't. Ego could be massive. Narcissistic is a word that gets thrown around with Hunter. All that aside, I don't think he did that. Yes, it is true. Hunter is the one running Hall of Fame names, inductees. He makes those calls. We know this because that's a report that was out when he took over. You guys can look it up yourself. That's not a Nick Khan thing. Hunter is the one that decides. He took over all responsibilities with the Hall of Fame. But I do believe, because Nick Khan technically is kind of his boss, I do believe that this was like a little intervention that Hunter knew nothing about, and that Stephanie and Nick Khan got together, brought in Shawn Taker, maybe some other executives, Lee Fitting, Bruce Pritchard. I think they all got together and go, listen, we're thinking about throwing Hunter in. And they talked about it, and it became a thing without Hunter knowing about it. So even though Hunter absolutely controls it, the Hall of Fame, and it's his decision, his approval, all of that, I do believe that they did that, and there's no way that Hunter can say no to all of them, especially when they tell him on stage, and they're all out there celebrating, and he's supposed to go, no, but thank you guys, thank you, but no. Because that was another thing, right? Hunter may not have known about it and didn't make the call himself to put himself into the Hall of Fame, but he could have said no. And I thought the same thing. But if you see the way that it was done, he was on stage, Steph's out there with a big gleaming smile. She's turning red. She's so proud. And, Khan's over there smiling. You got Taker, Michaels. There's no way you can say no in that aspect. So that's just the honesty, guys. The honesty that BC will always give you is in this situation, I don't believe this was Hunter's call. I don't think he was going to put himself into the Hall of Fame. And even if he wanted to say no, there's no way he could in that moment. So I'll absolutely defend the dude for that. That's a shitty position to be in. And he's got to know he's going to take a lot of flack for it. Justified, man. You're leading the company, at least creatively, but we know in other areas as well. Nick Khan handles the financials and a bunch of other stuff. But everything, talent, creative, direction, that's all Hunter. So yeah, he's going to take flack for sure. But that's why he said if you see somebody fly off the roof, it's Nick Khan, because what the heck, man? A surprise ambush for Hunter Hearst Helmsley. So that's what I have to say about the induction itself. I don't think Hunter knew. Definitely a surprise, and it's hard to say no the way that it was done. Probably why they did it that way. On the realm of deserving to go in, that's going to be a huge discussion, right? Guys, if it's as a talent in what he did in his career, of course he's more than deserving. I don't know if you guys remember, or maybe a lot of you guys weren't around for the Attitude Era, but he was one of the biggest stars. Now, yes, the conversation about marrying the boss's daughter is always going to be there. But I remember he was on that uphill trajectory before he even did the boss's daughter thing. I'm not on board with the way that was done. I have made that abundantly clear on this channel. I do not respect how Hunter went about business. He went into Vince's ear and he removed fellow talent Test from the storyline with Stephanie. And he told Vince, he said this in a documentary recently, he told Vince, put me in Test's spot. I'll do the storyline. I think it'll be played off better. And Vince listened, took Test out, and put Hunter in. And then in the process, China was cheated. It became even messier. I don't respect any of that. You can't, no matter what you do for a living, you cannot stab your coworker like that, man. You can't do them dirty like that. Test was so happy he was in this storyline. He was finally going to get like the storyline of storylines. And Hunter's like, let's take him out, Vince. And at that time, Hunter wasn't necessarily or technically in power. He was just in Vince's ear. And he had his fellow brother in that locker room taken out of the story, and he put himself in it, or he had Vince put him in it. So of course, that's why it was done so dirty. That's always going to be a talking point. But if we're being fair and honest, Hunter was already becoming a superstar without the Stephanie storyline. So I would like to believe that Hunter was always going to be big in the industry as a talent. And he was already on his way to doing big things. And he was always one of the best heels. And even back then in the day, man, me and the boys get together, we popping some beers off, we are spritzing, right? We're doing the Triple H spritz. So there's no way I can discredit that dude from what he did and what he gave us. And there's no doubt, I hate the word deserves, but I have no problem at all with Hunter going into the Hall of Fame. My issue would just be timing. You know, you just took over, just a couple of years now, but you took over the company, you're in charge. The optics, Stephanie, Taker, Michaels, Nick Khan, they have to think about the optics, man. If the product was sizzling hot right now, right, then that's fine. If the ratings were through the roof, if the buzz was there, not just record revenue, that's because everything has gone up in price. Everyone's maxing out cards, and they're going to other countries to suck up all the revenue they haven't done in the previous 40 years plus. So we know why their revenue, right? These billion-dollar conglomerate deals from Netflix and Fox and USA. But aside from the revenue, that buzz isn't there, man. Because the product is just, it's redundant and it's stale and it needs a kick in the ass. If the product was sizzling hot and Hunter's going in, man, we'd be praising that. We'd be like, yeah, that's the dude that's got WWE sizzling right now. But because the product is in need of so much help, and because we always see Hunter on our TVs, commercials, voiceovers, he's starting anything new, right? It's the premiere on Raw. We have to start with Hunter. Just stay in the back on headset, man. Relax. Let your superstars, let your current talent try to get to that next level. Let LA Knight do the voiceovers or the commercials. Let CM Punk welcome us to the rebellious Raw era. That's what you tried to sell us. Who better than Punk? Hey, we're going to France or this or that. And John Cena is doing this last year. Let Cena up in there, man. Older talent, I know. And he's already had his spotlight, but this is his big year. You could do things like that. But to spend all of your time doing commercials, voiceovers, and now all of the time to do the speech and all the technicalities that go into your induction, this is going to take a lot of time away from what Hunter should be doing, being creative. That's the problem, guys. WWE's product is in dire needs of a boot in the ass. And instead, Hunter is involved with every other thing imaginable, but being creative. That's the problem a lot of us have. Timing. Again, not his decision up front, I truly believe. And it beyond hard to say no on that stage. It just sucks because the timing, man. And this is just going to take Hunter away even more from giving us the best creative going into Mania. Because that's going to weigh on your mind. I'm going into the Hall of Fame this WrestleMania. Thanks a lot. That's going to take Hunter away even more from what he should be doing. It's just the creative part of it, man. I just wish that that's where all the focus was right now with Hunter. And it just seems it's just not. And he needs the right team. You know, NXT was successful, yes, because it was 1 hour on the WWE network. You couldn't fail with that. 1 hour a week. And Hunter had a team, man. William Regal was there. Dusty Rhodes honing the crafts of the talent and there with the storyline directions. That's what Hunter needs now. I truly don't believe he's the guy for the creative job. I just don't. But if he is going to be, he needs a good team assembled that's going to help him get there. Like even Vince during the Attitude Era. It wouldn't have been what it was without Vince Russo. Whether you love him or hate him, Vince Russo was there to do a lot of that creating, and then him and Vince would funnel it off. You know, keep some stuff, throw some stuff off. Vince would have to do a rewrite here and there, but you need the right... I don't think Hunter has found that creatively around him. But that's my issue. With Hunter is creative right now. Talent-wise, as much as I don't respect a lot of the ways that he came up in the business, I don't. A lot of it was very slimy. I will be the first to admit that, and it's sad. And a lot of the wrestlers, unfortunately, know that. Whether they were around or not or heard the stories, it was a slimy way to do business to get to where he is. But I always believed that he was going to get to a top spot no matter what because he was such a damn good superstar. Even before the Stephanie storyline. So I absolutely want to give credit where it's due, man. And that was he was such a big heel back in the day. I have no problem at all with him going into the Hall of Fame. I hate the word deserves, but there's no way that he wouldn't be, I would think. Of course he's going solely as a Hall of Famer. Eventually. Did I think it would be before a Batista or many others? No. Do I think it should be? No, just because he is now one of the leaders of the company. You got to hold back. You would never see Vince McMahon put himself into the Hall of Fame. Whether other people said it or not. Vince would actually tell you no right on stage in front of everybody. Shane's out there, Triple H, Stephanie, they're all smiling. Yeah, we're putting you in the Hall of Fame. Vince would be like, "Fine, you. You're all fired." He would say no and he'd fire everybody. I love it. Vince didn't want to be a mark for his own product. He had to be putting storylines and stuff for ratings, and ratings went up when Vince did, and he played the evil Mr. McMahon character. But to be honest, guys, Vince never wanted that spotlight. For years and years in the Golden Era, most fans never knew he was the owner. He was just putting on the headset and being a commentator. Guys, he never wanted you to even know he was the owner. And with the Bret Hart thing, he kind of had to become a character. But he never would put himself in the Hall of Fame, nothing like that. He didn't want to mark his own, be the mark of his own company. So he would tell you no flat out. So I don't think it's the timing for this. I have no problem with him going in there, though. He's had a wildly great career. So I salute that part, man, for sure. Salute. Hunter Helmsley Hall of Fame. Salute. My issue is creatively Hunter Hearst Helmsley, so I'm going to keep that separate. The shows, where they need to improve. Why are they not? Where's the creativity at all in this scenario, in that situation? That's where I'm going to rip Hunter Helmsley because nobody else wants to. We're going to act like WWE is great. Just AEW needs work. No, man. Everyone's ripping apart Tony Khan. Where the fuck are you with Hunter? And he continues to have his mind everywhere else but the product. You got to hold the dude accountable, man. But as a talent going in the Hall of Fame, I know the community is having a lot of fun with this. Dude put himself in the Hall. That popped BC. It is. It's such a wild scenario playing out. That Hunter Helmsley is going into the Hall of Fame and looks to be the headliner. I mean, that's wild. You can't make this up, bro. You couldn't do it if you tried. But I'm going to keep that and what he's done in his career separate with creative. So, I'm not going to bash the call too much, man. I'll enjoy the video package. I'll enjoy the ceremony, his words. I'll show him the respect, salute. And then maybe when this is all said and done after Mania, maybe we can start to just focus on the creative. I just want the product to be great again, guys. Is that so much to ask? I just want if it takes going into the Hall of Fame and getting all the spotlight, film all the commercials for the rest of the year in one weekend, if you can, and just put on the headset backstage and get creative. That's all I'm asking for. I just want the product to be great again. There you go. That's it. Not too bad, right? Not too bad. Amplified honesty. And that's it. That was a little bit longer of an amped up than I had anticipated, but there's some big things to go over. A lot of fun discussion. So just like the title says, we were amped up indeed. But my Starbucks is just about finished, so I got to go get more coffee. And a lot more coffee, because there's a lot of business to conduct. But there was a couple more stories. Be subbed and notified. Don't be shocked if there's a second upload today, guys. Maybe live if I can't do a pre-record and I have about a half an hour. Maybe I'll just do a pop-up live stream. But we'll see. But don't be shocked if there's another one today. But Royal Rumble in 2 days, there's a lot more content coming beforehand, I assure you of that. SmackDown tomorrow night, I'll have the most amplified, most badass review you're going to get of SmackDown. Even though Rumble's Saturday night, you're still getting a huge SmackDown review. They got to bring one of the biggest go-home shows we've ever seen. Are they even capable of doing that? We'll see. That's what I got, guys. 44 Dive. That's a wrap. BC in the unit saying check you. Salut.